What is going on, friends? Sean Don coming back with a technical analysis. Here we have Amrish Hallberg, I believe a sophomore in college, learning how to throw the weight and the hammer. He's kind of new to it. Admittedly, he said him and his coach don't have the best idea of what to do, so they reached out to me for some online throws programming to help him learn that stuff, which is the way to do it. Technical advice, like these in-depth technical analysis, definitely help, but it's so much easier to learn hammer technique when I can prescribe you drills and all that stuff. So stoked to help Amrish out. Yeah, if anybody else out there is interested, go to my website, gripandrip.co, and sign up now. Now is the time. You got to put in some work if you want to set some PRs. It's going to take some time. So if you want to set some PRs later this indoor season or even going into outdoors, check me out. All right. I said now is the time to sign up. So let's get into it without further ado. Let's take a look at Amrish tossing the weight. He's a bigger dude, 6'3". It was deceiving with this video angle. As you can see, the camera's down on the ground. But big dude, pretty strong. He's on the Olympic weightlifting team as well, so pretty solid. So learning the hammer and weight is a tricky thing to do when you have no idea what is going on. So Amrish, I'm here to help, and let's start breaking it down. As you can see, you're starting square to what would be the throwing area. Your circle, you're starting square at the back of what would be the circle. You do 2 turns, so our goal for you, you're not really throwing hammer weight unless you're doing 3 turns. 1s and 2 turns are just, it's almost too short to, especially in the weight. And I guess even so in the hammer, it's hard to really feel like you're throwing it with just 2 turns. So our goal is going to be to get you to start doing 3 turns this week as you start your new program out. But yeah, so you start with a little bump start off the hip, and you bring it back around, and then one more bump start off the hip. Legs are pretty straight. You're rotating, opening up to the right side, your right side, circle right side, cage right side, camera view left side. And then as you see, bump start, and then arms get pretty long. You do extend out to the right decently well. As you can see, you're kind of setting up this left side. You're shifting that weight back over this left side in entry, which is good. But then it looks like from that hip, extend out, and then as you go through 0, you can see you're really sitting back, shifting back as the ball goes through 0. But that left side's pretty stable. At least shoulder over that foot is pretty good. But you can see through the legs and the hips, you're kind of shifting back away from it, so you're kind of giving into the weight a little bit. So we got to kind of fix that, fix your posture a little bit. You want to keep the hips underneath the shoulders. You want to keep that torso upright more or less, where you can see as the ball goes around the left, you see that left leg kind of straightens out a little bit, and your hips are kind of back away from the ball. You want your hips a little bit more underneath you. And you also want to keep the orbit up around this left side where you can see it's kind of low and it kind of drops. And you can see this left side kind of pull around the left side. So the left side's kind of doing all the work, and then the right side is doing what it can to stick with it. But you can see it's not quite totally connected. Orbit gets, like I said, a little shorter on the left, a little lower on the left. And you see that left side kind of pulling across into that next catch through single support. So you go to catch, and this right leg's a little bit low around the ankle. You maybe want to get this right knee up. Think about kind of an A skip into the next turn. Catch. All right, and you can see a negative shin angle here. So that right knee is kind of back behind that right heel. So that's a sign that, like I said, that right side isn't totally connected. And you do land, and this is kind of like a body, if you trip and fall, your body's going to try to catch itself. And this is kind of what's happening here, where your body doesn't quite feel stable, so you land flat-footed, you land with a very straight right leg, you catch, and your body's like, oh, we don't have any tension, we don't have our balance and stability, so what are we going to do? We're going to try to catch ourselves. And your right leg's a little straight, so you want to have be on the ball of the right foot a little bit more, have a little more shin angle in this right leg. Like I said, this is kind of negative. If you were straight up and down, that'd be neutral, and you want to have a little bit more positive, so you want to have this right foot more underneath, and then a little more shin angle here, kind of like in the left leg, which will help the hips get more underneath you, which is kind of where the power comes from. Just like if you're doing cleans or snatches, you get that triple extension into that third pull. The hips are underneath you and kind of underneath the bar, if that makes sense. I'm not an Olympic weightlifting coach, but it's kind of the same ideas. So you catch, right leg's pretty straight, And then from there, you can see you really sink down going into this next turn. You kind of sink the hips down and back, and the ball's up, and you are up with it. So you kind of need to learn to counter the ball, at least keep the hips one level. Where if you sink or rise with the ball, it's kind of the wrong thing to do. You want to be the opposite. If the ball is rising, you want to kind of be sinking. If you want to be, if the ball is dropping, you kind of want to resist that dropping by not dropping, or by putting force into the ground to prevent yourself from getting pulled down. So as you can see, you catch, and then you kind of sink down with the ball as it's also going down. And you see the left side kind of pulling back and shifting back through zero. Not a ton of stability in the body because, like I said, this right leg position really straight there, and then you kind of soften into the right leg. You want a stiffer right leg with more shin angle, as I said. So as the ball goes around the left side opens up and leads, shortens the orbit around the left, and then as you go into single support, you can see the right side's a little bit behind, the left side leading, pulling across. You can see the ball's back behind, but the shoulders and the head are kind of facing more towards 180. So the ball's a little bit behind you, right side gets a little wide, and it's kind of low, same thing as the previous turn. And then you go to catch, same sort of thing. And now it's like you're really kind of prepping for the finish instead of continuing to turn with the hammer. So when you go to step, you can see that left foot kind of comes off the ground. You see this right foot straighten out, and then you kind of dip down, sink down with the ball yet again. Not a ton of stability here. Hips are kind of back away. Hips turn to head with that right leg straight. It's no good. So you catch, you sink down into the legs. Like I said, you're giving to the hammer, giving to the ball. You sink down with it. You sink your hips down. So it's like you're trying to prepare for the finish, but the way you sink your hips down with the ball also dropping is kind of going to kill your tension and your connection. And then you kind of are just fighting out of it. So we got to fix that. And you can see your hips kind of get more dramatically back away from the hammer. The ball gets really low down towards the knees. And you can see there's not much stability here. That left side pulls back. You shift back over this right side and you try to finish any way you can. So just don't drop into that last turn. Don't prepare for the finish. Just let go of the ball. But that all kind of comes back to the entry. So you got to fix a lot of stuff before then. Fix stuff in the entry, fix stuff in the turns, and then everything else kind of takes care of itself. So, but we can definitely work on this. You're just you're young in terms of the sport, so we got to kind of get you back to the basics, teach you the basics if you don't even know the basics. So, and that's what I'm here for, and that's what my programming will do. So, yeah, if anybody else out there is interested in learning the basics or is interested in improving their hammer technique, their weight technique, hit your boy up. Go to my website, gripandrip.co. All right, this is my third technical analysis in a row, and my brain is tired of talking about hammer technique. So finally fumbling over my words a little bit. So thank you for watching. Check out my website, gripandrip.co. All right, until next time, Sean Don signing off.